This Tesla Model Y was in a $20,000 accident, and unfortunately, this happens a lot more often than you might think. Teslas are undoubtedly some of the safest cars on the road today around the world, but when an accident does happen, what do you do? Teslas now have a notorious reputation for many things, including being overly complicated and very expensive to repair, and going through this process truly showcases both the very best and very worst parts of the Tesla ecosystem and the Tesla ownership experience as it stands right now in 2022. So let me give you a breakdown and the inside story to this saga, tell you what caused this $20,000 accident, and some crucial settings you need to change in your Tesla right now that, if not sort of changed and set up correctly, could cost you tens of thousands of dollars. Trust me, you don't want to make a mistake. And let me get into the Tesla accident repair drama. Buckle up. There's a lot we've got to cover. And a big thanks to RECURRENT for sponsoring this video. They just introduced an amazing way to super easily sell your EV and potentially get paid a premium thanks to the health of your EV's battery. Stay tuned to learn how you can sell your EV at a great price in just a couple of simple clicks. Now, this video is a little important to me because this isn't any old Tesla Model Y, though this happens all the time around the world, but this one in particular is my parents' Model Y. You might remember back in March of 2021, I did a whole video where I walked them through the entire order and delivery process where they got to spec out and take delivery of this 2021 long-range Model Y. It's optioned with the white exterior, it's got the white interior, which looks really good, and it's been an all-around fantastic car. My mom in particular really loves it and loves driving it, and honestly, them getting the Model Y was one of the big reasons I decided to ditch my 3 and go with the Y after I got to experience firsthand those differences and see just how nice it is to have a little bit more room and be a little higher off the ground. And as good as the car has been in the last year and a half or so, they've really loved it. I recently got a call that this happened. Southern California freeways are notorious for many things, including 2 things in particular: horrible, heavy, unpredictable stop and go traffic, and people just not paying attention. And I don't know the specifics of this situation in particular, but as you can see from the video recording, when traffic came to a stop, the person behind my parents just sort of hit the Tesla at a pretty decent speed, and the damage looked like this. Yeah, not looking great from that impact. And throughout this whole scenario of trying to help them get the car repaired, there were a couple of really important lessons that I learned along the way that I wanted to share with you guys. I always assumed that I sort of knew how to connect the dots from one end of the Tesla ecosystem to the other, and I sort of thought I knew the ins and outs, but there's a whole lot in this process I learned for the very first time. So let me tell you how they went about trying to get this car fixed, and also a couple of really important settings that you need to make sure you have turned on that, if not turned on correctly, could cost you some serious money. So the first thing you need to know is that Teslas are extremely safe vehicles, specifically the Model Y, which has been dubbed over and over again one of the safest cars on the road today. And case in point, luckily, very happily, my parents were totally fine from this accident, but the car, not so much. And while the car is super safe, getting into an accident in a Tesla can be a little more complicated than a traditional car for multiple reasons. But before we get to the crash itself, let me talk to you about some important settings that you need to make sure you have turned on. Probably the single most important thing you need to do inside of your Tesla is to ensure Dashcam and Sentry mode are on, they're enabled, and that they are properly recording. If you don't know, Dashcam basically uses the multiple cameras built into the Tesla to record as a dashcam as you drive. So if something like an accident was to happen, you'd have multiple angles of that accident saved onto the drive that you could refer to later. You could give to insurance for, who's at fault purposes, all that stuff. And then Sentry mode is sort of the car's alarm system that also can record video if needed. Now, I stress the importance of making sure this is on because a couple of months ago, there was a nasty bug that was disabling and sort of corrupting Sentry mode and Dashcam and making both features totally unusable. So if you haven't updated your Tesla in a while, this is probably a good time right now to pause the video and update that car. I guess you can even jump into the app right now and get it updated as you watch. But these are like the two single most important features you've got to make sure you have turned on. You want to make sure the drive that you have inside of your car is also working and in proper order as well. Teslas do come with a drive these days. They're in the glove box. In addition to that, two other really important things you should know. One is that just because the clip is recording doesn't mean the clip is automatically going to be saved. What I sort of mean by that is that Teslas are always recording, but if you don't specifically save a certain clip, you run the risk of that clip being recorded over as Teslas just sort of continuously record and then just write over that data. You want to make sure that that clip is specifically saved, and Teslas are supposed to do this automatically, but that doesn't always happen. And I know it's sort of hard to remember to do this when you're sort of in the middle of an accident, but there are two simple ways you can do this that you need to remember. The first is that you can sort of just tap manually to save that clip. You can head into sort of the quick controls of the car and then tap the recording button that way, then save it, or you can tap the little Sentry mode icon if you have it in the dock, as long as the car is in drive. Or what you can do, which I'd recommend you do right now, is enable honk to capture, which basically will do the same thing. When you hit the horn for any reason, it's going to save the camera feed from all those clips. The other thing you need to know is that getting the video off of this USB drive is both simple and unsimple. You can actually go into the car and watch the clips yourself on the screen, and Tesla has sort of a nice viewer where you can see the different angles and stuff like that. But if you actually want to send this video to anyone, it's going to be a little bit more complicated. Basically, you've got to plug this USB drive into your computer, and you can go in the folder and see all of the raw clips. They're all labeled by which camera recorded it, and you can sort of see them in some sort of chronological fashion. There are a couple of apps that'll do this for you. I think there's some free and paid versions for both Windows and Mac that you can just sort of drop in the clips and it'll automatically synchronize it for you, so you can sort of send this off to an insurance agent or whoever you need to do, police report, whatever the case may be. I'll leave a couple of options linked down below. Now, before we continue with more on this Tesla repair saga, let's take a quick break for just a moment, because I want to tell you guys about one of my favorite companies of all time, a company you need to know about if you own an EV or if you're looking to buy an EV, and one that you need to know about if you're looking to sell your EV, and that, of course, is this video's sponsor, RECURRENT. RECURRENT is an amazing company doing many amazing things in the EV space, and in addition to this free monthly battery report and other services they offer, they now have something totally new that's really awesome, and that is this. It's a brand new tool that's going to make it really easy to sell your EV and possibly get you more money thanks to the good health of your EV's battery. And this is simply genius, because if you think about it, if I was going to go sell my Model Y tomorrow, for example, the dealer or buyer who wants to buy this car is going to look at the make, model, the options, and then look at the odometer to sort of put a value on the car. How many miles does it have? But as RECURRENT eloquently says so cleverly on their site, odometers count miles, not battery health. And there's a huge difference between an EV with 25,000 miles with a super poor battery health and one with a really excellent battery health that has been taken care of and that's going to have a much longer lifespan. And RECURRENT, as always, is going to make this entire process super simple and super easy. Basically, you want to head to the link down below in the description, you're going to throw in your license plate or VIN number, and you'll get access to a breakdown report, including your RECURRENT range score, which can get you more money for a healthy battery. And then, in a couple of simple clicks, you can get connected to dealerships that'll place a premium value on, good, healthy batteries. It's really that simple. And RECURRENT is working with BlackBook to provide the daily market insights, while RECURRENT themselves is working their magic with the battery DNA of this report. And what's so cool here is that RECURRENT is able to use info from their over 10,000 cars in the RECURRENT fleet to make a pretty precise set of range predictions just based on the car's make, model, year, battery pack, stuff like that, and then get that info right from the VIN and various other data sources. Again, this tool is totally free and you can try it for yourself right now. All you've got to do is click the link down below to get started, and trust me, you're potentially losing out on some serious money, so make this a part of your EV selling process and get rewarded for the good health of your EV's battery. And again, you can get started at the link right down below. And for all those who always comment who are outside of the US, I hear you, I see you. RECURRENT certainly hears you as well, and they are working to bring these awesome services to all outside of the US as well. So stay tuned for more info on that, and as always, be sure to hit the link down below, check out all that RECURRENT has to offer, their totally free, awesome monthly battery report, as well as this really great tool to help you get more in your EV selling process, and also just makes it super simple, and will get you connected to dealers in just a couple of clicks. So again, learn more and check out all that RECURRENT has to offer by clicking the link right down below. Now, the next part of this saga included getting the Model Y towed, and depending on the type of accident you have, the car could throw a bunch of different error codes, you could have issues. Actually, Ryan Shaw, another really good Tesla YouTuber, did a great video where he broke down a very sort of similar situation where he got rear-ended in his Model Y and there was some battery errors and stuff. I'll leave a link to his video down below, but just to sort of be on the lookout for any errors that you could see on your dash. Luckily, in my parents' case here, it was just a low tire pressure warning because the impact of the accident on their back passenger rear tire basically just totally deflated it. But definitely be on the lookout for any serious errors because the car could shut off. But just sort of know what the state of the car is as you assess how you're going to drive away or get the car towed. Tesla does have their own roadside service available right within the Tesla app, and there's a number you can call for situations just like this. And to be clear, this is not some special Cybertruck coming out to do the tow or anything like that, but these are just local tow companies that Tesla contracts with that know specifically how to tow a Tesla, because towing a Tesla can be a little bit difficult and a little bit unique than towing any other car on the road. This is also a good time to mention that if you didn't know, there is a transport mode specifically built for this purpose inside of the service menu that you need to know about. If you do need to get your car towed or get it transported, you want to make sure you go into the service mode and turn on transport mode, because this is going to enable a bunch of different things behind the scenes to make it so your Tesla can be safely towed. Now, like I mentioned, Tesla Roadside is a thing, and it's right there within the app, and it does let you get in contact with a tow truck in just a few taps, but there are a couple of caveats that you should know about. Now, you could read the fine print on the Tesla website for yourself, but basically, depending on the type of accident you are in or the type of problem you have, you can get a free tow up to a certain distance. In this case, Tesla Roadside actually told my parents to call AAA instead of using Tesla's roadside towing service. I'm not sure why specifically that happened, but I've got a couple of guesses based off the fine print on the Tesla website. I'm guessing in this case, based on the damage to the vehicle, Tesla may have classified this car as having a flat tire and still being drivable, giving them only 50 miles of comp towing miles instead of I think it's 100 miles if you're actually in an accident where the car is more undrivable. And my parents might have been outside the 50-mile zone since they wanted to go to a service center closer to their home, which is why the Tesla towing company probably just recommended AAA, because that gives them some more miles to work with. Okay, so you've got the car safe, you're ready to get it transported, you are ready to take those next steps. How exactly do you go about getting your Tesla repaired? For some reason, I guess I wrongly assumed that the repairs would all be done at a Tesla service center proper, but in this case, at least in Southern California, Tesla actually recommended my parents take the Model Y to a number of approved body shops instead of going directly to a service center. To find this info out, I had my parents go into the Tesla app and then attempt to make a service appointment, and that's where you can sort of say what happened with the car. In this case, you could say the car had been in a collision, and then Tesla's actually going to have you sort of describe what happened, and then actually send a couple of photos of different vantage points so they can sort of use their AI machine learning magic to sort of assess the damage and then recommend appropriate next steps. Which in this case, they recommended a long list of authorized local third-party repair shops that were, like I said, authorized from Tesla themselves to work on Tesla vehicles to get them repaired and back on the road. Now, the insurance side to this whole ordeal is not specific to Teslas necessarily, but suffice it to say, many companies are going to fight on Tesla repair costs because they can be so high. And in this instance, this is still an ongoing issue with my parents and the insurance companies behind the scenes, so I'm not going to get into the specifics. But what I can do is that after they found an authorized repair center that was willing to take the car, actually, which just works on Teslas, by the way, and they had the car towed over there, they were able to get an estimate of what those repairs are going to be. And let me highlight and sort of show you how that $20,000 bill breaks down. You can see here for yourself, but it's basically a mix of panels, molding, assemblies, the bumper, tailgate, paint, all coming out with labor included to a grand total of $19,936.83. The repair for this Model Y from this accident costs more than a lot of cars on the road right now. And this is only sort of half the battle here, because the whole other part of this is actually getting the car fixed. And Tesla is notorious for not only having their own poor or subpar service center experience, but they also have issues sending parts out to these authorized Tesla body shops to actually get the repairs done in a timely manner. Right now, there's no ETA on when my parents' Model Y can be fixed. It could be a matter of weeks, if not a matter of months. No one knows right now because there's a backlog of other Teslas that need to be fixed first. And I've also heard the horror stories of mismatched panel gaps and misalignments and odd repaints done to the car once they're fixed. So not only do you have to go through this whole saga, but once the car is officially deemed fixed and you're ready to go check it out, you definitely want to make sure you do your due diligence to make sure the paint is correctly blended, that there are no gaps or misalignments. Just make sure everything is up to snuff and looking good, so you can actually get your car back on the road and it being, in tip-top shape and being as good as it was before it went in to get repaired. So I'm curious, for any of you who have been in a similar situation, what was your process like? What was it like to get your Tesla repaired? What kind of issue have you encountered? And what was that process like? For me, the only thing I had was like a flat tire, which I took to a service center and they sort of fixed. That was it. But if you've been in an accident in your Tesla, what was the experience like? How much did it cost? What was your course of action with the repair? Let me know down below and we can talk all about Tesla repairs. As always, I appreciate you guys watching these videos. Thank you so much. I'm Robert Rosenfeld, and I'll see you all in the next one.